The year is 1682. The vast expanse of Siberia stretches eastward from the Ural Mountains, a land of harsh beauty and unforgiving winters. For centuries it has remained a mystery to outsiders, a realm of dense forests, icy rivers and nomadic tribes. But whispers of its riches have begun to reach the ears of the Russian Empire. The driving force behind this eastward expansion? Fur. The pelts of sable, ermine and fox, prized for their warmth and luxury, are abundant in Siberia. They become a source of immense wealth for the Russian crown and fuel the ambitions of explorers and traders alike. These hardy souls, driven by the promise of fortune and adventure, venture deeper and deeper into the Siberian wilderness. Among them are the Cossacks, fierce warriors and pioneers known for their horsemanship and marksmanship. Tasked with expanding the Tsar's dominion, they establish forts and trading posts, gradually extending Russia's reach eastward. One such outpost is founded on the banks of the Lena River, a place the Russians call Yakutsk. The arrival of the Russians disrupts the traditional way of life for the indigenous people of Siberia, including the Yakuts. These skilled horsemen and reindeer herders have long roamed the vast plains and taiga forests, their lives intertwined with the rhythms of nature. Now they find themselves facing a new reality, one shaped by the demands of a distant empire. The cornerstone of Russian control is the Yasak, a tribute system that requires the native population to pay taxes in the form of furs. This demand weighs heavily upon the Yakuts, forcing them to surrender their most valuable resources. The Yasak becomes a source of growing resentment, a symbol of Russian domination and exploitation. The burden of the Yasak is not merely economic, it strikes at the heart of Yakut culture and identity. The furs they are forced to surrender are not just commodities, they are integral to their way of life. Used for clothing, shelter and trade, the Yasak, in essence, becomes a tool of cultural subjugation. The imposition of the Yasak is just one facet of a broader clash of cultures. The Russians arrive in Siberia bearing not only their greed for furs, but also their Orthodox Christian faith. They view the indigenous beliefs of the Yakuts, rooted in shamanism and animism, as primitive and savage. Conversion efforts are often heavy-handed, with missionaries seeking to replace traditional Yakut spirituality with the teachings of the Orthodox Church. Sacred sites are desecrated, rituals are banned, and shamans, the spiritual leaders of the Yakut people, are persecuted. This assault on their beliefs fuels the growing discontent among the Yakuts. They see the Russians as a threat, not only to their livelihoods, but also to their very souls. The stage is set for a confrontation, a clash between two worlds, two ways of life. In the midst of this simmering resentment, a figure emerges who will come to embody the spirit of Yakut resistance. His name is unknown to history, lost to the passage of time, but his legend lives on. He is a shaman, a powerful spiritual leader revered by his people. The shaman has a vision, a chilling prophecy that spreads like wildfire through the Yakut communities. He foretells the coming of a great calamity, a time of suffering and oppression at the hands of the Russians, but within this prophecy lies a glimmer of hope. The shaman proclaims that the Yakut people can avert this fate, but only through decisive action. They must rise up against their oppressors, cast off the yoke of Russian rule, and reclaim their ancestral lands. His words resonate deeply with the Yakuts, igniting a firestorm of anger and a yearning for freedom. Section 5. The Uprising begins. A deceptive calm, shattered. The year 1682 dawns like any other in the icy expanse of eastern Siberia. But beneath the surface, tensions are reaching a boiling point. The shaman's prophecy has spread far and wide, galvanizing the Yakut people. A plan is hatched, a daring and desperate gamble for freedom. The uprising begins not with a roar, but with a whisper. Small bands of Yakut warriors, armed with bows, arrows, and a burning desire for liberation, launch a series of coordinated attacks on Russian settlements and outposts. The element of surprise is their greatest weapon. Isolated and outnumbered, many Russian traders and Cossacks fall victim to these swift and brutal raids. The rebellion spreads rapidly, engulfing the region in a maelstrom of violence and chaos. The Yakuts, fueled by righteous fury and the hope of a better future, fight with the ferocity of cornered wolves. Section 6. Early victories, a glimmer of hope against the odds. The initial successes of the Yakut rebels send shockwaves through the Russian administration in Yakutsk. They had underestimated the resolve of the indigenous population, dismissing them as primitive and disorganized. Now they are forced to confront the reality of a full-blown rebellion. Emboldened by their victories, the Yakut warriors lay siege to several Russian forts, hoping to cut off supply lines and isolate the enemy. Their knowledge of the terrain gives them a crucial advantage in these early engagements. They utilize guerrilla tactics, striking from the shadows and melting back into the forests, leaving the Russians bewildered and demoralized. For a brief moment, it seems as if the tide of history might be turning. The Yakuts dare to dream of a future free from Russian oppression, a future where they can reclaim their ancestral lands and preserve their way of life. But their hope, though fierce, is fragile. Section 7. The Tide Turns. The Might of the Russian Bear. The Russian response to the uprising is swift and brutal. News of the rebellion reaches Moscow, enraging the Tsar and his court. Reinforcements are dispatched from Western Russia, seasoned troops armed with muskets and cannons determined to crush the rebellion and reassert Russian dominance. At the helm of this counter-offensive is a new voivoda, a ruthless and ambitious man named Ivan Priklonsky. He arrives in Yakutsk with a mandate to restore order by any means necessary. Priklonsky wastes no time in unleashing the full might of the Russian military machine. The technological disparity between the two forces is stark. The Yakuts, though courageous, are no match for the firepower of Russian muskets and artillery. Their bows and arrows, so effective in the early stages of the uprising, are now pitiful weapons against such superior technology. Section 8. The Price of Defiance. A crushing defeat. The tide of the war turns decisively in favor of the Russians. Priklonsky, employing a scorched earth policy, wages a campaign of terror against the Yakut people. Villages are razed, crops are destroyed, and entire communities are massacred. His goal is not just to defeat the rebellion, but to break the spirit of the Yakut people. One by one, the rebels' strongholds fall. The Yakut warriors, facing overwhelming odds, fight with the courage of desperation, but their resistance is ultimately in vain. The uprising, which had begun with such promise, is brutally suppressed. The shaman's prophecy, once a beacon of hope, now hangs heavy in the air, a bitter reminder of the price of defiance. The Yakuts are left to confront a future shrouded in uncertainty, their dreams of freedom shattered. Section 9. The Legacy of 1682, a muted resistance. The Yakutsk uprising of 1682 leaves an indelible mark on the history of Siberia. Though brutally suppressed, it stands as a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Yakut people, their unwavering resistance in the face of overwhelming odds. But the consequences of their defiance are severe. The Russians, determined to prevent future uprisings, tighten their grip on the region. The Yasak, already a source of resentment, is increased, further impoverishing the Yakut people. Russian control extends deeper into their lands, disrupting their traditional way of life. The shaman's prophecy, though unfulfilled, continues to resonate in the collective memory of the Yakuts. It serves as a reminder of their ancestors' courage and a symbol of their enduring hope for freedom. The spirit of resistance, though muted, is far from extinguished. Section 10. Echoes of the Uprising. Remembering the Forgotten. The Yakutsk uprising of 1682 may be a relatively obscure event in the annals of history, overshadowed by grander conflicts and revolutions. But its significance should not be underestimated. It offers a glimpse into the complex dynamics of empire and resistance, of cultural clash and the enduring human yearning for freedom. Today, the memory of the uprising is kept alive through oral histories passed down through generations of Yakut families. It is a story of courage and sacrifice, of a people's struggle to preserve their identity in the face of cultural assimilation. The uprising also serves as a reminder of the importance of historical memory, of shining a light on the forgotten stories of those who resisted oppression, even in defeat. Their stories deserve to be told, their sacrifices remembered. Section 11. Conclusion. The indomitable spirit of the Yakuts. The story of the Yakutsk uprising is ultimately one of tragedy and resilience. It is a stark reminder of the human cost of conquest, the enduring legacy of colonialism, but it is also a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, the refusal to be broken even in the face of overwhelming odds. The Yakut people, though scarred by the experience of 1682, never surrendered their identity, their culture, their connection to the land. They endured, adapted, and ultimately found ways to preserve their unique heritage within the framework of a changing world. The echoes of the shaman's prophecy still resonate across the vast expanse of Siberia, a testament to the enduring spirit of the Yakut people. It is a spirit of resilience, of resistance, and of an unyielding hope for a better future.